Why am I on deleted messages?
All right, so we're hot. We're hot. We're
So hot.
So hot.
Hey, it's jacket off weather.
Man.
Oh.
What a beautiful,
Brad, tell us about the weather.
beautiful day.
Give us the weather report.
It was fantastic last night.
Amazing
That
last
sunset,
night.
bro.
It wasn't even humid either, which is...
No, it was fantastic.
I wasn't very sweaty.
I didn't even sweat at all.
So, this is the first official jacket off shiftless
Yeah.
in quite a while, I do
Excuse
believe.
me.
Actually, it might even be since we were in Caleb's family room.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's roll.
Do
Let's
it.
do it.
Welcome, everyone. Once again, it is shiftless. Shiftless? Or is it shiftless?
Shiftless. Shiftless.
Emphasis on shift.
An emphasis on less.
Yeah.
A lot of emphasis on
A lot
less.
of emphasis on less.
But what is not less, Brad?
Is Caleb, DJ Caleb, joining us again. I think you're going to become a regular. If we'll have you as often as you'll have.
I think he already qualifies as a
Yeah.
regular.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a pleasure and an honor.
yeah. Joining us.
I think.
And today's our 50th.
Number 50. Congrats, you guys. So
That's crazy.
from being on the outside for a large portion of this, you guys had the idea to do this, and here you are, 50.
That guy had the
Well,
idea.
that guy, but I
Yeah.
mean, you guys did it.
No, you were the core of this one.
I don't know about that.
And it's been great.
We should talk about Sharknado again.
I'm obviously a
people
little
loved it.
biased because you guys are good friends, but it's been really good. 50 episodes. I mean,
I think that's a stretch, but thank you.
well,
Thank
I
you.
mean, you guys.
They can't all be winners.
I think there are probably a lot of people that want to start a podcast and they do it and they get a couple episodes in and then they fizzle out.
Oh, you got to just.
But you
stay
guys,
the course.
and it's been. I mean, I love it.
Trust me, I'm shocked we've made it this far. No, I don't think either. Neither. I know, Brad, you're the grammar queen,
Irregardless.
Irregardless.
which is now officially a word.
It is.
It pisses me
It
off.
is.
It really does.
What are you going to do? You got people using bruh in the vernacular, and I'm guilty, and people using cuh and everything else.
Like,
yeah.
that wears me out. But I'm guilty of it.
I'm
too.
guilty of it too. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I heard myself saying it, and I didn't even become aware of it until I saw a reel of this girl. She was probably 20, and she goes, older people, like people above 50, have no filler words. They don't use any filler words. And while she's saying this, she's saying like, and she's like, ugh. She can't stop doing it, you know?
Yep.
And so I think a lot of us are guilty of that. I used to say, constantly when I was a dumb shit little kid. And somebody pointed it out to me, and I became really self-aware of it. And I eliminated it for the most part. But
When our daughter was couple years, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, she was saying it all the time, like, and I would stop her and go, "What was it that thing, or was it like that thing?" Well, what do you mean? And I have to explain it to her.
Yeah.
And it got her, and I myself stopped using it. And then the other day, I had to listen to a meeting recording I had at work so I could remember some things. And man, I was just firing it off.
Yeah.
And I hated myself for it.
yeah. And what's weird is
like,
in the
I'm
moment.
consciously like trying to put
Yeah.
forth the effort to like not use it.
Yeah, and in the moment you don't realize it, but then
Oh,
I
gosh,
think
no.
I think it's a
No.
good, healthy thing for you to listen
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
Let's talk about bikes.
Bikes.
Let's talk about this. Josh Dean turned me onto this. Now I vacuum sealed it just so it doesn't get worn out in my bag.
Okay.
This is a 29-inch tube, and it's probably made in China. 56 grams. Is it 56 or 50?
Holy moly!
56 or 59 grams. I can't remember.
Tell us the name.
This is smaller and lighter than the condoms I used to keep in my wallet.
This is I sent it out to the group chat.
That's impressive. My one concern, and I know I asked you this, and I can use the old internet's computers to look up how long. For those of you who don't know what I'm holding in my hand, it's an ultralight tube for bike packing endurance kind of thing. Super light. Like this is incredibly light. But how long were the stems?
45 mil. So that's perfect for like, well, there we go. Like, perfect for my rims. I ran into that issue when we were doing Triple Crown. I flatted and I had a spare tube and it wasn't long enough to go through my rim. So I didn't have a valve extender. Now I carry valve extenders.
Yep.
But 56 grams, 2 of them, a pair, for $25.99.
What brand is it?
It's called Ride Now.
Right now.
And it comes with, I don't know if you can see it.
Do they come
There's
in other colors? I'm digging the pink, but I would love purple.
I'm only seeing pink.
It's going to be on the inside. It's always pink on the inside. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
And at episode 50, we are officially canceled.
I'm sorry. It is Pepto-Bismol pink. But it comes with the protector that goes over the core, so it's got a sticker, and then it also has 2 little stickers that look like patches.
Okay.
And they're pink as well.
Okay.
But I was impressed. Josh Dean turned me on to them. Red mentioned it to me. He's like, "Have you checked these tubes out?" And I'm like, "No." And so he sent me the link after Sunday, and I ordered some, and they were here Tuesday.
All right. I'm probably going to order myself some as well.
I haven't tested them.
I hear you. No, I hear you.
It's to me, it's an emergency blanket.
It's exactly. It's
Yeah.
like that reflective emergency blanket that I've
Yeah.
got buried away in my bike packing
Yeah.
stuff.
One day you're going to need it.
Well, hopefully
not.
But
yeah.
it's there if you do.
You don't need it today.
I will say this. Something to be aware of. I did have one of my spare tubes vacuum sealed like that, and it still wore a hole in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting some talc in there or
That
something.
would be my recommendation.
Yeah, but I haven't done it.
That's the bad thing about the emergency tube. And we're talking bikes.
Yeah.
We're talking check on your emergency tube on a regular basis, just like your spare tire in your car.
Yeah.
If it's not going to hold air, it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah.
So
it's happened to me a handful of times.
Yeah.
I still have my Tubelito from Rat 2020 in my bag. I probably need to retire that guy.
You don't think that thing's going to hold air anymore?
Nah.
There's probably so much grit and grime that worked its way in between that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just sandpaper in itself.
Yeah. I think the vacuum seal thing is super smart, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I like that.
I've always vacuum sealed mine ever since I got a vacuum sealer. Shannon and I were trying to make our way from Nob Hills to North Shore via Shoreline exclusively at one point. And we got, I can't remember where, we were almost to Twin Coves and got a flat, and I pulled out my tube and it had a hole in it, had multiple holes in it because it was running around in a saddlebag. And Shannon pulls his out. He's like, "No problem, I got a tube." And it had freaking 3 holes in it too from being just worn out. And so I called Paula, sweet Paula. I said, "Hey, baby, come pick us up." She shows up with sandwiches and beers. And I was like, "You're such a badass." And I went to put my bike on the bike rack. And when I did, I was running one of the, I forgot what the Mountain Feed bag. And on the net on the side, I had patches and a patch kit and everything. And I was like, "Shit, we could have got out of here." I totally forgot I had that.
Yeah.
So, but anyways,
Another bike packing lesson there.
yeah.
Pack the same way every time, but check how you pack on a regular basis.
Well, the problem is I hadn't had to fix anything in so long, and that's why my tube had a hole worn in it, and I hadn't had to use my flat repair kit, so I didn't even know it was there. But
We got to start going through our stuff.
yeah, get ready for
time.
March. Yeah.
Now, I will give a quick heads up in case we do have some industry going on in the background here and there. So if you hear some backup beeps or grumbles from a diesel or whatever, hey, it's going to be part of the show today.
Growth is difficult.
Argyle's growing.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing next door. I think they're building an outbuilding or something.
Yeah.
looks like probably a barn or a shed or something.
I still say it's Russian bots.
Now, did I ever tell you what they're doing next door?
What, some kind of homeschooling thing,
Yeah.
pseudo
Okay.
institutional homeschool thing or something?
It's kind of
like that?
cool. It's kind of cool
Okay.
because they're never there at night and they're never
No,
there
I
on
get
the weekend.
I get that.
It's almost like I don't have a neighbor.
So it's homeschool at someone else's home that isn't classified as a home, but it's in a home building.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're doing.
Interesting.
They're probably just grooming children.
This is a straddle the line zone.
We're not in the city. We're in the county.
Yeah.
This is the ETJ area.
Yes.
ETJ.
Yeah. I don't know what it's. I can't remember what it stands for.
Okay.
Eh.
It's basically
Extraterritorial jurisdiction.
is that really what it is?
Yeah. That
Did you
sounds
just look
about
it
right.
up?
It's a buffer zone. No, I knew that in my brain. Of course I looked it up because I'm sitting behind a laptop. What are you talking about? I'm just
Thanks,
quick. I'm so quick that I can fool people to make them think that I know these things.
So it's we're Argyle, but we're not Argyle proper.
Right.
We're in the county. We're
Right.
in Denton County.
You're Denton County.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I get that.
It's nice living out here, though.
In the country.
It's not really the country.
It's
but
about as close to the country as you get around here these days.
It's country with the amenities of the city.
It's country-ish.
Yeah.
You have free range dogs, so I would consider that
Yeah.
getting there.
It's funny when we were looking to get Luna, we were trying to adopt from the North Texas Weimaraner Association. They want to come out and tour the property and stuff, and the guy immediately was like, no, that's what happened. I applied, and they asked if we have a fence, and I said no.
Yeah.
I said we have an invisible fence, and they just shot me down. And I appealed to them, and I said, hey, would you at least come look at the property and look where we live and consider it? And they came out, and the people that were the representatives, it was a husband and wife. I'm sure it's like your situation. They go out and examine the home and consider them for foster adoption or whatever.
Yeah. So
And he immediately got here and he goes, oh, hell yeah. 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 We're going to do this.
yeah, we used to do a lot of home visits.
Yeah.
We don't do that very much because Kay's so good at the applications that we have. There are some deal breakers right off the bat, but most of the time we probably wouldn't adopt a dog out for someone that didn't have some kind of fence because they're corgis and they're smaller and
Yeah.
I mean they can disappear a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And they're a little more exploratory than some other dogs. They don't mind wandering off.
Yeah.
And for those listening at home, Caleb, could you give a brief outline of your group?
Yeah, so my wife and I run a 501c3 nonprofit dog rescue group that is specific to corgis, both Cardigan and Welsh Pembroke, but mainly 90% is the Pembroke, and we've been doing that for about, almost 20 years now.
Wow, that long.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So why corgis?
Kay got one before we got together, and she had one when we met, and she was already, I guess technically she's been doing it for 20 years, and I would have been doing it for 18.
She's a corgi girl.
She's a corgi girl, and so yeah.
Is there a girl that's not a corgi girl?
Oh man, they're fantastic. I could, you know what?
a corgi girl.
Podcast idea. I'm going to start a corgi podcast, just talking nothing about the greatest dogs. But this is a good dog too. Here, Lucky boy. He knows I'm talking about dogs. He's like, what about me?
Love me some lab. Love me some corgi.
So anyway, going back to what you were saying, like we used to do a lot of home visits.
Yeah. Hell, this was 14, 15 years ago.
That's good. I commend any rescue that doesn't just push a dog out the door.
Yeah.
We have no problem saying no because we don't find a dog for the homeowner. We find a home for the dog.
Home for the dog.
Yeah. Kay is incredible with the amount of information she collects about not only the dog's behavior, and then we evaluate it as well. And
Right.
then, she collects a lot of data on the people, and she matches them. Like, she matches them really well. Anyway, our success rate's like 90, I would say 98, 99%. Rarely do we ever have a dog come back. And when we do, the next go-round is 100% because typically it's the homeowner has a difficult time adjusting to the dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't a dog podcast, is it? Is this dogless?
I have no trouble talking about dogs and loving on dogs.
I love me some dogs.
Along those lines, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to the group my lovely bride helps out is BC Save, and very much the same thing. They're very, very, very focused on finding the right.
And what's
home.
BC?
Border Collie.
Oh, Border Collie, right? Yeah, awesome, great dogs.
Yeah, it's a North Texas based but pretty big Border Collie Save group, and we've helped out with some fosters along the way. Our latest mutt puppy was one of theirs, and
Foster Phil.
It was a couldn't find it wasn't a true Border Collie. Bailey's a true Heinz 57, absolutely amazing, and people that go to a BC Save, they're looking for a Border Collie, generally speaking.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Generally speaking, and then there's Lucy.
Lulu.
No,
She's my girl.
I'm assuming she's Heinz 57-ish herself.
You know, we adopted her as a puppy. She was tiny, and under the guise that she was German Shepherd.
There's Shepherd in there.
I think if you look at Malinois, she looks. She's very Malinois-esque. But I don't know because allegedly the mother wandered into this household off the street, unbeknownst to the owner that she was pregnant, threw a litter, and then passed away.
Oh, man.
So it was a real heartbreaker. But if I would have known how badass that dog was going to be, I would have taken everyone in the litter they would have given me. She's tremendous. And you know where Lucky came from. Kevin Witherstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was happenstance. I just went to his house to buy some.
We
some
can all
stuff.
agree we like dogs.
Dogs are cool.
We like bikes.
Yeah. If I had to choose dogs over bikes, though, I think I might have a tough decision.
No, if I had to choose one or the other, it would be dogs. Trust me, I don't want to be in a position to make that choice, but it would definitely be dogs.
So the Graveling Cycle Hall of Fame unveiled its 2024 inductees on Wednesday morning. Yeah.
My boy's on there.
Yeah, Peter Very.
No. Also
Nick
Legan.
Nick.
Yeah, Nick Legan.
Great guy.
Yeah. Allegedly, he's going to be on the podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're working on that.
Yeah.
He's been traveling, and his work requires a lot of travel. Anyway,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of gravel, did you have a chance to look at the link I sent you?
For the 36er?
Yeah.
I glanced at it. I didn't dig too deep into it.
Yeah.
Drop bar, 36-inch steel, titanium?
It's titanium.
They're doing, I guess it's like a pre-order fundraiser.
Yeah, the way it works is in order for them to put forth the effort and the money and the capital on their end to get production started, they need a commitment of at least 20 people to basically prepay for about half of it. That they said that would give them a good gauge of the amount of interest in it. And if that doesn't work, if they don't meet the money and the pledges by the certain date, you get your money back.
So
and then
it's like a Kickstarter kind of sort of.
It's exactly Kickstarter. Yeah.
Well, Kickstarter, you don't get your money back though.
Well,
right?
that's true. It's their own. They're not going through Kickstarter.
So, and I apologize. I didn't dig very deep. I just saw that it was a big wheel bike.
How'd that work out for Tesla, though? You know, Tesla, the only way you could buy a Roadster from them when they announced it was you had to pay full price, and it was like $250K, and they still haven't delivered any of them.
I'm looking for coffee, bro. What are you doing?
This is coffee.
You want me to drink out of your coffee?
No, I only store. I don't drink out of this. That's empty. It's in here. I'm trying to keep it warm for you. I'm trying to be considerate.
Fucker, what are we doing? Where's the hole to this thing? What is this?
It's omnidirectional. It's open. All you have to do is pour.
It's always pink inside.
Look at this. Pour it from any direction. Yeah, so it's an Australian company.
Australian? Okay.
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. And then you just turn it back.
I got it. I got this.
I'm not poo-pooing it. I have no interest in a 36-inch wheel at this stage of my life.
Yeah,
there's a reason why 99% of the bikes don't have that.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. There's some cool with any component, anything, any new innovation on a bike. When you go and buy a bike, there's pros and cons to all of it.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Just with this thing. You get rolling on it for a long distance and you get your momentum going, obviously there's a benefit to maintaining that momentum.
Yeah.
But climbing hills on a 36,
Gonna be stupid. But
yeah.
bombing hills on a 36
bombing
inch?
hills. But I mean, think about the added expense for those larger wheels are going to need.
Can I get a pink tube? For
You
my
can put
36?
a pink. I don't know. For a 30, you have to put a pool noodle in it. I can't imagine it being cheap to maintain because you're going to need stronger subcomponents.
To be fair, everything you're saying here is what everyone used to say about 29er as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, really?
So.
Yeah, this whole that's the reason I wanted to talk about it, because all of the things. Now I'm not saying that 36ers are going to be where 29ers are 5-10 years from now.
Well, I don't think anyone is going to ride a 36 on a trail. This is specifically gravel.
I mean,
no, there's a guy that does.
Yeah, that was the first.
Really?
That was the first build of 36ers. In fact, we saw a 36er at a BT Epic this year.
Okay.
Well, there's a guy, 10 years ago that used to ride a 36er out at RCP.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not trashing it and saying it's a stupid idea. I'm just saying that there's going to be pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
so look at it this
beautiful
way.
experiment.
I had a gravel bike that had 650B tires.
Mm-hmm.
After riding it for a couple of years, in my opinion, if you're 5'11" or taller, you're not getting any benefit out of it.
Yeah.
If you're shorter, I think it's probably a great option for people who are below that.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. But also, from 650B to 29 is not the same
Jump.
size increment
Yeah.
from a 700 to a 36. I mean,
Yeah.
that is fucking huge.
Yeah,
It looks cool as shit.
So,
Well,
a 32 would be the
Well, and that's where I was going with this. Is I did some reading on a couple of people were talking about this on Reddit and everywhere else, and there was people talking about a 32 would make more sense, and then this guy chimed in, well, they've been making 32-inch wheels for a while, and I thought, what?
yeah.
And where they make them is unicycles. So there's already a tire, a rim, all that stuff's available.
Right.
So it wouldn't be that difficult for someone to weld up, fix a jig to make a 32-inch. But the other reason Lucky, stop. We know you're happy, baby, but your tail's slapping the microphone stand. But the other reason I sent you this site is because half of their bikes are called Kevin.
No, I definitely didn't dig that deep.
They have a Kevin of Steel, Ninja Mermaid. They have a Big Kev. They have a GXR, a.k.a. Kevin.
So this is interesting. The size breakdown for this starts at medium and ends at 1, 2, 3, 4X.
4XL.
Wow.
So there's that, and I don't think they really put. I read their Kickstarter, all that information on it, and they did talk about it's for taller riders, but no, they need to really push this as this is the answer for really really big guys, because I
Yeah.
think that you get into the XX and the XXL.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
think you're going to have as many issues. As,
I mean, I could see Solo rocking a 36
yeah,
inch
this
wheel.
makes
Yeah,
sense
for sure.
I think
I
also
mean-
be a fantastic ultra endurance bike packing bike, something that you're not having to sprint up hills. You don't want to sprint on this thing, but maybe guys with 6'7", maybe they can do it.
Somebody that's 7 foot tall can sprint a 36 inch wheel uphill.
Yeah.
Or like something like East Texas Showdown, where there's, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a lot of elevation, but it's a long distance, like 500 miles. Like, I think that's a good animal there, because like you were saying, once you get it spun up, you're going to be Cadillacing.
Yeah.
And plus, it's going to smooth out so much stuff, because just like 26 or 29 or over 26.
I don't know. Could you imagine a false flat with a 36 inch wheel?
Man, I mean, here's the thing: is if it stays as a platform, it stands to reason that somebody's going to make a carbon rim for it, and at that point, you're looking a lot better.
Yeah.
Less,
Are you?
less
Are you?
rotational weight?
Is there really that much less weight on a carbon from aluminum hoop?
Oh yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
there is.
Well, and the thing is, you can build them, like with a 29er, for example. Even a guy that rides aggressive like me, I can run a 28 spoke on a 29-inch wheel and not have any issues, because the rim inherently has a lot more rigidity. So you don't have to build them as rock solid as you used to.
When I took these OEM wheels off my Cutthroat and put those
Well, that's
Santa
a
Cruz
different-
reserves, those reserves were definitely heavier. They were, I mean, not by a lot, but they were heavier, but they rode completely different. I mean,
Yeah.
It's worth
Yeah.
the performance.
Speaking of talking about metrics and power and stuff that we have no fucking clue what we're talking
Oh
about.
shit! Here we go.
Adam gave me a lot of shit last night about us trying to figure out wattage and all this shit. But I say all that because
Us?
well, he was talking to Caleb and I.
He was looking directly in my eyes.
Yeah. But he sent an email to us, and I believe you saw it as well.
Yes.
Did you see this?
No, I
Caleb?
didn't. He told me about it, but I didn't see it.
Let me forward it to you real quick so you can look at it real time.
Okay.
I don't know how to do all this stuff. Let me see. Forward.
I'm going to preface this while you guys are working out your electronic communication issues. I think it's fair to say that Adam is probably not the average e-bike rider as far as...
No, it's so funny, though. Last night.
No, this was
Last night, there was some random guy that shows up after the trail ride. You know, we have everything set up. We cooked out last night.
Right.
Fire pit, music, everything. Dan randomly walks up to Adam and goes, "Hey, this guy's on an e-bike too." And like tries to hook him up. And Adam's just like, "Okay." Okay.
The Facebook comment was, my favorite part of the night is when Dan set Adam up with an unsolicited play date.
I was sitting right there.
When he introduced, Adam goes, "Okay, hi."
Yeah. Way to just lean into the awkwardness.
Yes,
It was so priceless.
It was very awkward.
Oh shit! It was awesome.
Dan just wants everyone to be friends. You
That guy
can't fault that
No.
guy.
No, not at all.
But that guy was standing around forever, and he was on the phone, not in cycling attire, and he was just holding his e-bike. And I go, "What happened, dude? Did your battery die? You need a jump?" And I was just jacking with him, and he just kept going, "Oh, oh." He was so weird.
Now. He may be a listener.
That's fine. I think he wanted to be in the group, but didn't like know the protocol or anything. It was funny. It's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But,
I'm not saying you guys aren't inviting, but it's
No,
it's a new dynamic.
You got to go balls deep. You
Yeah.
just come in,
Yeah.
force your way in, and force your talk in, and
Throw
then
elbows.
Yeah.
if you do,
Well, I mean,
do that, you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, though, that's cycling culture in a nutshell. Though, and we ran into it with our ride this past Sunday, where newer riders do have an expectation of being invited and warmly greeted, and here's a soft introduction into how everything works. And I'm not gonna say it's a jump off the deep end type of situation, but you got to know how to swim at least.
Yeah. So
Power numbers.
power numbers. So this is one of the cool things, like when you have somebody like Adam that is so, he tracks everything.
So anal.
No, I just think he's a numbers guy. I mean, he's a nerd, you know, in a good way.
No, I'm not knocking
So
it.
he actually sent over the files from a year ago, Mountain Nebo, on, he calls it an Amish bike.
That's a new one. It's not going to stick with me, but
Of course, he did embed the images in line of the email, and I can't click and expand them. Thanks a lot, Adam.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on, Adam.
It's okay. He's getting better.
I was able to decipher.
But there are critical numbers here that do allow us to make a side by side comparison, which is pretty cool. And in fact, it actually read better on my phone. But so just in a nutshell, his average cadence was 65, max cadence 157.
This is on the muscle bike or the e-bike?
On the muscle bike.
The Amish bike.
The Amish bike. Oh, well, fuck. The other one's cut off. You can't read the cadence. Edit. So how about this? Average heart rate, 151. Max heart rate, 177 on the Amish. And then average heart rate, 145. Max heart rate, 185 on the e-bike, which is pretty surprising.
Yep.
But here's the numbers that really surprised me was heart rate zones. He spent 46% of his time in zone 3 on his Amish bike, and then 43.3% in zone 3 on his e-bike. So basically staying in the same heart rate zone. And his ride time, he actually ended up with 2.5 hours of moving time on the e-bike, where he had 2 hours and 14 minutes of moving time on his muscle bike. So the numbers are pretty close, to everything. And just like we've discussed before, you can get just as good of a workout,
sure,
provided everybody's on an e-bike. So
That's right.
That was the case here.
Yeah.
Shannon and Breg were both on an e-bike along with Adam. So,
I mean, I've always said that, yes, e-bike riders can get the workout, but it actually takes very conscious effort to get that workout on an e-bike.
or have two guys that are trying to kick you in the dick the whole time.
Yeah. Again, you're back to to get faster, you have to ride with people faster than you. Basically, is the nuts and the bolts. Whether you're on an e-bike or a pedal bike.
That's fair.
So if you're not riding with people that are faster than you, it's not likely you're getting faster. Particularly if you are riding North Shore by yourself on an e-bike, it takes a lot of gumption to go out there by yourself.
Saw a ton of e-bikes at North Shore last night.
I'm just saying, if you're riding it solo on an e-bike, to get the type of numbers that Adam put up,
Yeah, you'd have to be on a mission.
You have to be very, very disciplined and very, very conscious of, I'm busting my balls here.
Well, you have to do that on a regular bike too, because you can go out there and just kind of hang out and spend time in the granny gear and just chill.
Nah, because you can spike your heart rate on an Amish bike just on your regular uphills.
Yeah, but you can still just fuck off and not
You
put in
can.
any efforts and ride North Shore.
You can,
You know,
but you can accidentally fall into a higher heart rate zone. I think is the best.
That makes sense.
You have to be conscious
Yeah.
to get into that heart rate zone on an e-bike. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying people are being lazy with it.
yeah.
When you're on a muscle bike, when you're on an Amish bike, when you're on an acoustic bike, whatever the hell you want to call it, you have to make or you don't have to be conscious about elevating your heart rate. It's going to happen almost naturally. And I say that because I am now officially in the market for an e-bike.
You mother scratcher. I knew it was going to happen. I was wondering which one of the three of us was going to get
Just
an e-bike
because I'm in the
first.
market doesn't mean I'm going to be the first one, though.
Oh, I know how Kevin shots. I know how that's going to go. But
How is it going to go? Because you know better than me then. Oh, I want to hear this.
I've got one word.
Okay.
Budget. What is your budget? Undetermined. You'll know it when you see it. Very cheap.
You don't know me as well as you think you do.
Oh, I do. I could be wrong.
Let's just say a very serious amount of baggage dropped from Kevin's life yesterday. So
Oh, you can't just say that and bounce. What are you talking about? Did Jan leave you finally? It's about fucking time.
no, after what will be 7 years in May, where our case for when I got hit was finally settled yesterday.
Nice. High five.
Yeah. Congrats.
About fucking time.
That's a lot of weight lifted.
It's a ton, but nobody read more into that than they're really. No, this is not a way to get rich.
Kevin's hood rich.
Yeah.
Get a fucking scraper bike.
Trust me, the attorneys and the medical facilities are getting a lot more money from this
Than Kevin is, yeah.
than I am, but it does justify, and unfortunately it makes sense for an e-bike to be part of my remedy going forward.
I like that.
Yeah.
I see it.
Do it.
I mean, you've seen me. My knees don't work,
Yeah.
and I need to be able to at least ride with
I support it. I'm still gonna fuck with you, but
Please do.
Whatever gets you out there, man.
I'm hoping it works as a transition to get back to the muscle bike. But every time I've tried to bike for the past several years, it just it falls apart.
Yeah.
And I have to take time back, and that's where I've been for the past 6 months. And hopefully, an e-bike allows me to ride with my Spinistry riders.
So you're gonna go? You're gonna go gravel? Or you're gonna go mountain?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. That one we spoke about.
my money's on gravel.
My ideal is still a hardtail 29er e-bike would be, which because it lets me do both.
Yeah.
So I have a question about
what is that noise?
someone's doing an angle grinder.
That's
or something.
them working over there.
Sons of bitches.
That's the industrial stuff.
You think we can edit that out?
No.
No, there's
can't
no
filter
remove the angle grinder filter.
I bet AI could do it.
AI could do it. Yeah. Okay, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean incorporating intelligence into this.
Yeah.
power
Artificial.
output question.
Mm-hmm.
Gravel
not
versus
this again.
versus mountain bike. No.
Mm-hmm.
Is the performance of a e-bike mountain bike different than an e-bike gravel bike? Because you're not needing that.
Dude, that's the thing I've come barely aware of is that there are, even within mountain bikes, there are varying levels of power.
It's motor power and torque.
Yeah. But
And then battery life is a direct result of both of those.
we need to have Breg on here.
Being
he is the biggest
the different
e-bike nerd.
types of riding between riding a mountain bike trail and riding gravel, you would think you would want less torque and more
high end
on the gravel bike, right? So that's what I'm wondering is
so
making your choice.
The gearing,
Yeah.
for lack of a let's just broad stroke it as gearing.
Yeah.
A gravel e-bike is set up to lean more towards longer battery life.
Yeah.
Is the simplistic way. And so how do you do that? Well, you turn down the torque, you turn down the wattage.
But they still have a governor, right? Like mountain bikes, I think are like 19.5 or 19.
That's it's irregardless. Fuck me. No, I'm never going to say irregardless.
But did they both have the same limit, like high end limit, governor?
That's right. Regardless of whether it's a road bike, whether it's a gravel bike, whether it's a mountain bike, the class 1, class 2, class 3 classifications are the same. That's a top speed classification.
Okay.
It's not.
So there's 3 different top speeds on the different classes?
Yes.
So what's the highest?
I honestly don't know because I'm not worried about.
This is going to turn into an e-bike podcast.
No, it's not.
We're just going to start talking all e-bikes all the time. Coming to you, 2025. Shift more. Shit.
But once we incorporate the CVT, it's still shiftless.
Yeah. So what is even on your radar right now? What have you even looked at anything in person?
Not in person yet. No.
So what are you looking at online?
I was curious about that one we discovered after we heard about Shannon's, or the one I discovered, the Orbea Urun or whatever it was. So I made a couple inquiries yesterday to even see if I might be able to see one somewhere, and it doesn't seem like I can.
Really?
Yeah.
Are those?
You're probably going to have to go to Northwest Arkansas to see that.
Yeah. Potentially.
Moots has a really badass looking gravel e-bike. No, I'm serious.
That's not. No. That thing's so ugly that it's never gonna.
It's kind of cool. It's okay. Right.
It's not Kevin style.
Okay.
It's not Kevin, and I'm sorry. All the wishes of success in the world to Moots and their e-bike endeavor, but. If a carbon Moots just is not a Moots as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
doesn't make any sense.
Grill has an e-bike, gravel, but you're still saying in the Topstone Neo. But you're wanting mountain.
Well, I would like to have mountain bike capability.
Yeah.
I get okay.
It. Yeah.
Like I said, I can justify. I'm not saying top dollar, but not the classic Kevin approach of we get a bargain basement one to at this point to figure out what works long run because I don't.
What in the world? What was that?
Lucky's tail hit the hard case over here.
The reality is there just isn't that much variety you're either up at a higher level or you're at a very low level. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground in the e-bike realm. Well, I say that. I guess anything that's $5,000 or more, I consider fairly high level.
Yeah.
And maybe that's really maybe it's really $10,000 and up is the high level on an e-bike, which I'm not going in that price.
Do you think the trend?
I'm looking in the $5,000 to $6,000 range is what I'm guessing is where I'll probably be hitting.
So, do you think the trend for 2024 and going into 25 are e-bikes going to be like big screen TVs were, where they got bigger and cheaper, or is the price going to stay about the same? They're going to stay in that for the nice ones. The nice ones you're going to spend more than $9,000. Are the performance going to get better and the price going to stay the same?
That's kind of been the nature of our discussions about e-bikes almost every episode.
I mean, it's batteries and motors, right?
Yeah. I still think the vast majority of the e-bike market is $3,000 or less, but it's also very casual bicycle riders. So the everyday e-bike rider that's more traditional for our crowd, the people we ride with and hang out with, and
like Adam.
Yeah. They're gonna be in that definitely $5,000 and up range, but I still think it's a very small part of the e-bike market, and I don't know that how much that is going to expand. That's a darn big. I think
Orbea's website is awful to navigate.
It's terrible, and
I can't even get to. I click on their e-bikes and it doesn't.
You have to click on the button that says "Take me to the bikes." It's a bad experience.
Okay, and then even worse, check availability. It does not give you a dealer locator per se. You have to fill out the whole form with your email address and everything like that. And then they'll email you. Oh, and you have to create the password. Then they'll email you and say, okay, now your account is live. You can check. And you click on that. Oh, well, we don't seem to find this anywhere. So here, just order direct from us.
Yeah, it's a really awful experience.
Yeah.
Anyways, I finally found the bike we're talking about, the Urun.
So the 2023 models, evidently after playing around on their hideous website for about an hour and a half last night, I guess you can order the 2023 models direct.
Oh, really?
But there doesn't seem to be any to be seen in person in Texas, from the best I could tell.
So here's one thing I am going to tell you, and I fear that a lot of people are going to this, but all the cables are routed internally through the headset and everything.
That doesn't surprise me.
Other than the front brake.
That doesn't. Again,
so it goes through the stem.
I have not made a decision by any. And it's not Orbea specific.
Yeah.
A hardtail 29er.
Yeah.
E-bike would probably
scratch the itch on multiple fronts.
At the moment, be towards the top of my list, but there's not a whole lot. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of.
Sorry, that's me. That was me.
No, it was Lucy too.
No, well, I kicked the.
But
you're right. I mean, that is a market other than commuter type bikes.
Yeah, so
there's not a lot of hardtail,
and the commuter ones aren't going to work for my needs. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, I could be proven differently, but it would take. Well, and we'll dig into that a little bit more in depth here because there's a lot of correlation here. It would take a substantive demo for me to be convinced that a dual suspension mountain bike would suit my needs. I don't expect that to be a good fit. I think the more realistic option is going to end up being.
What if you could lock out the rear end?
You still can't fully lock it out.
Yeah.
You still lose some of it.
And then you're getting into 15 pounds heavier, generally speaking.
Yeah, I get that.
Probably the reality is it's going to be in the realm of a gravel e-bike that might be able to do some single track capability.
Yeah.
I think still a hardtail 29er makes more sense. I just don't know that that's going to be a viable option. But going back to the demo thing, and we touched on this on last week's episode or the week before, I think I don't know how it can be cared for, but I think that is a huge missing piece for the cycling industry as a whole, as far as growing cycling among people that aren't cyclists yet. If you want to bring in new cyclists, you need to have a way for those people to truly demo bikes. Mm-hmm. If you're expecting people to pay $5,000 for a bike they've never put their ass on,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a realistic expectation for the most part.
That's a tough sell. Like,
And
there's a lot of companies that are doing it. They're building their business model off of
every
it.
single one of them,
Yeah.
quite frankly. And you can't even get a demo from a bike shop most of the time anymore.
Kona has a hardtail e-bike,
Do they? Okay.
and it's Kevin budget friendly.
Okay. I mean, Kevin budget friendly still needs to have decent components. Does it have a decent
I
fork
doubt
on it?
Not at $2,600.
Probably not.
Enlighten me on something. Educate me. What's your Brad, Kevin? What's your concern on internal cables?
So if you want to change that stem, if you want to change your headset,
Oh yeah,
If you want to service the bike,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
and trust me, your bicycle mechanic will tell you how much they loathe internal cable routing. Generally speaking,
Yeah, it's right through there.
So here's my comp on it. My comparable situation. So like right now, I've had it in the back of my head for a few years. It's like, maybe a 3/4 ton diesel truck might be a better fit for my spinistry needs than my gas truck.
I like it.
Right now, the way things work out, our Christmas present from some random stranger was they sideswiped my truck on Christmas Eve. So finally, after Texas Chainring Massacre, I'm able to drop the truck off at Caliber Collision. Not a sponsor yet, but if Caliber Collision wants to sponsor us, we'll consider it. And State Farm's going to pay for it from the other driver. State Farm's not a sponsor. If they want to, we're not going to take you. We got insurance for Texas.
Kevin has nothing but open hands.
But while this truck is dropped off for $8,000 worth of damage, evidently, from the quote I got yesterday, and until March 15th at the earliest, I do have a Dodge 2500 turbo diesel.
Yes.
And it has convinced me, just from my limited 1 week's exposure to it, that that's not the truck for me on a full-time. I'm better off with my Titan when I get it back. Now, does that mean it's better than a Chevy or a Ford or something else? No. But it tells me I don't want a Dodge 2500.
Well, you don't want. Here's the thing that I'm immediately thinking. Like I love the fact that you were thinking about a 3/4 ton, but I would never go gravel scouting in my truck. A 3/4 ton, it would beat the living shit out of you. You would hate it because it just rides so rough, and you're gonna feel everything.
I wouldn't say that was so much the issue, but you can definitely feel the weight of that truck on those roads.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And the brakes suck.
Yeah, that truck's at home pulling something.
Agreed.
And weighted down.
Agreed.
Like you throw a trailer on the back of my truck, it drives way better.
Sure.
It's like my Fargo. My Fargo rides better when it has bags on it.
Get that. I was looking at it from the potential long-term benefit of, longevity, like we talked about, but potentially better fuel mileage.
I would look at GMC in 20.
No.
Stand by. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
They
You're
make a 6-cylinder diesel Duramax that's on a half-ton chassis that rides like your traditional pickup. Comes in 4-wheel drive. You got the longevity. You got more torque, more low end for all your needs, and then it's going to ride like a real truck, like a smaller truck, if you will.
I got you.
That would be where I would steer you for scouting, and it's going to pull the hell out of a trailer. I mean, it's going to do everything you want. But
I was perfectly happy with my Titan up until the 100,000 mile mark. I actually love that truck. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as it cleared that 100,000 mile pseudo bumper to bumper warranty period, that's when that. We got literally 102,000 miles in is when that BCM went out. When we had that $2,500 worth of repair there.
So there's more hardtail e-mountain bikes than I thought there were.
Okay, good. Who else has one?
Ghost, which I'm not familiar with.
Not familiar with
They're
them.
a European brand, but it still looks like it's stretched out.
Okay.
Like it's
longer wheelbase.
It's meant for descending.
So okay, but All right.
It's a shuttle type bike, I would imagine. But I just did a search for hardtail e-bike MTB.
Okay.
And it returned quite a few things. But just like Google is, I mean, it's got all kinds of shit in here that's not that either.
Right. Well, right. So, I mean,
There's a Trek Marlin that's an E hard. There's a high bike hard 7.5. It's got to be a Chinese brand.
I guess I'm in my mind I'm leaning towards a traditional brand.
Yeah, this is sexy.
That were
Grand Canyon on 7.
I would prefer to work with the bikes that are with the shop. So,
Yeah.
But in turn, I also recognize that that's going to be a very limiting factor to some extent. So I'm saying, yeah, I would prefer if it's something like a Salsa or a Yeti or an Ibis or a Niner or, well, not Niner anymore, but Kona Specialized Trek. I would consider that would take some arm twisting for me. But maybe I need to grow up and get away from that. I would consider the Canyon. I would consider a Loft. No, Loft doesn't have an E, but I'm just saying stuff like that I would consider, but that would be second tier. I would prefer to work with local bike shop type inventory first.
I respect that.
The Orbea was up there because I know that's available in the local shops and things like that. But,
Well, you know who's an Orbea? Who carries Orbea?
Already contacted.
Yeah.
They had no idea what I was talking about.
Well, did you talk to...
It doesn't matter. Okay. We're not going to name anybody here.
Did you talk to the guy with the beard? We don't have to name names.
No.
Talk to the owner of the shop?
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I brought up the particular bike, and they were clueless what I was. And it could have been the owner. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was not identified on the phone, and I wasn't going to say, "Oh, this is Kevin from Spinistry." It was no. I was going to treat it like a normal transaction.
Fair.
And I'm not saying it was a bad experience, but it was like no. The person that answered the phone there didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's on a learning curve when it comes to e-bikes.
I agree, and that's why I didn't want to throw any names in here. I don't want it to be perceived as a negative.
That's fair.
But I wanted to be treated like a normal customer.
Yeah, I get that. You can get a Uron for $3,400, but I don't know what the componentry is.
I mean, it looked like it was decent. I think the fork is the main thing. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not a drivetrain snob.
You know, our buddy Breg has it, and I don't know what it is, but he has an e-bike sitting in his garage. I know it's in Houston, but he said it's available for anybody to ride until it gets sold.
Know nothing about that.
Yeah, I forget what it is.
Anyway, enough about e-bikes. Let's talk about other stuff.
Okay.
We do spend too much time on e-bikes.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I thought y'all had lists. Caleb's big on lists, aren't you?
I wanted to talk about the Titanosaur, which we did.
We'll go back to it. Okay. A few things I saw. Campagnolo, which I know nothing about them. They updated the
13 speed.
Yeah, E-car, S-car, whatever. 13 speed, 460% range, which the gear ratio.
But Campy, you have to understand, Campy, they did venture into mountain biking componentry at one time, but their main focus is road cycling.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to run a one by and jump on with everybody else, and they want to offer the biggest range possible. But I just don't see where a 13 speed. I guess on a road, what you want is smaller steps between gearing. So it makes more sense to have a 13 speed and have 480% rather than have a 12 speed and have 520%.
So much like the way Shimano's doing GRX, they've kind of split it into three groups. They have an endurance ratio, a race, and an adventure. Let's talk about the race. So the race is 942.
Where are you looking at this?
I'm on Bike Rumor.
Okay.
It's 942, which is not 942 is not a significant range, I guess, but what you're saying is a 1 gear extra.
It's tiny steps between the gears.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would make a difference to me.
Sure.
I would rather have...
Well, for you it may not, but you're not the target audience. You're not the target market.
Yeah.
The target market is the rider that wants to maintain that 92 RPM cadence.
Yeah.
Cadence, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, spin to win.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of
Enough
cool.
with the pop-ups, bike rumor. Yeah, but a 9's pretty
Ooh,
banger.
I did see something pretty sexy yesterday. It works e-bike and Amish bike both.
What's that?
Have you seen the new Silka wax setup?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, man, they want a lot for that. Oh, is it Silka or who?
It's Silka. The strip chip.
No, that's $99 for the heater and $24 for the strip chips.
I have not seen that.
That's cool as shit.
I want to get into waxing my chains, but...
Are you still not waxing yet? You haven't waxed, bro?
I use, whatchamacallit. It's...
So what Silka came out with yesterday, it's a heating unit that heats at exactly the temperature you designate in centigrade. In Celsius. What's the difference between Celsius and centigrade?
That I don't know.
They're the same thing, numbers-wise, aren't they?
I think so.
All right.
Know. Or are we trying to expose how much shit I don't know today?
Well, I asked
You could write an entire book about shit I don't know about.
shiftlesslive@gmail.com. Tell us how stupid we are. Okay, but anyway, so it's a wax heater, and with the dipping mechanism and then the hanger on it. But what they did that was really cool.
I don't see it on their site yet.
Here, I got you.
It's they also came out with a new solvent wax combination that they call the strip chip. So here's what this stuff. So you bring it up to 125 degrees centigrade, and you dip your brand new chain in there, and the solvent strips the grease off. So it's a stripper. But then it emulsifies the grease and incorporates it into the wax, so you get the anti-corrosives and all of that, but you don't have the grease itself breaking up the wax because it's emulsified, or that's not the term they use. Anyway,
I'm sold either way.
It sounds cool as shit, and
it's basically a sous vide crock pot.
Basically, it's at very precise temperature.
Yeah,
they are recommending to not use a normal crock pot with this because the crock pot's low is too low, and the crock pot's high is too high.
And their
formula.
Yeah, there's no way to get the
temperature.
It's all about having the right temperature. Is ultimately what it's about for waxing the chain, and the stripping the chain is the important.
So it's a little bit more than $99. $99 only includes the wax warmer pot, the drip stand, and cable coupler. It does not include any wax or the strip chip.
That's why I said $99 for the heater and $24 for the strip chip.
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry. I wasn't listening.
No, okay.
I was staring into your eyes.
No, yeah. But
that $90 is just the initial.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for that again.
Right. So
then everything else is consumables on top of
Yeah.
that.
Do you think this is a better method than me filling an old Mountain Dew bottle with mineral spirits?
Probably.
And shaking it like a maraca?
Now, that said, I am not one of those that has fallen into the hot wax chain routine yet myself.
What's funny is back in my shop days, which I talk about way too much, I realize, but we exclusively waxed chains. Like that was the thing to do.
Right.
But we were so we had a solvent tank. We would take chains and just put them in there, let them soak for a little bit, and we would scrub them. We would blow them completely dry, and then we had a tank of paraffin wax. We would dip chains, shake them, and then let them dry. And then once they were dry, we would flake the whole thing and then install them.
Right.
But that was routine maintenance on all the bikes that we serviced. But we were servicing,
So if you do it that method,
bikes.
though, is that how you wax it every time when you need it waxed, or were those customers able to add something to it before they go out and do their daily ride?
So here's in my memory of all these things is a little spotty, so forgive me. But we did almost exclusively wax chains up until the time that White Lightning came onto the market. And Lightning was touted as a applicable wax chain style. And so we started recommending you can service your chain in between waxings by utilizing White Lightning. And so then we kind of got away from waxing chains. It kind of died in our shop.
And my
at the time.
understanding is that's basically what Silka does with their stuff. Though they say you can use the Silka wax in between waxing applications. Now, my understanding, that grinder's grinding me.
It is a lot. I keep hoping that they're going to go, okay, let's go to lunch or whatever. Let's take our second breakfast.
But my guess is, I shouldn't say my understanding, my assumption, because we know what happens when we assume.
You make an ass out of you and Uma Thurman?
Something like that. My assumption is the strip chips are only needed the first time around.
Okay.
And then the second waxing, you don't need to strip it again. So you would just use the regular hot wax at 75 degrees Celsius. But that's just a guess. I believe the strip chip is just the first time when you break down the basically when you, instead of doing the solvent dip like you were talking about in your old process.
Yeah.
But that's just a guess.
I think I'm gonna get this unit.
I'm very tempted to pull the trigger on it.
So, if you do that, can you still put squirt on it in between?
That's what I was trying to think of. Squirt.
That's what I meant by the Silka stuff.
Okay.
That's not Silka stuff though. But yeah.
It's not?
No.
Silka they have their own formula, but they have a touch.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
Silka.
Theirs is called Super Secret Chain Lube.
That's it. Yeah.
So you
But
do that
it's
in between.
It's basically
Yeah, I
the
think
same
so.
as the squirt stuff, I think.
Okay.
Or they're what is comparable.
So
on
the
their end.
reason I went to Squirt is, speaking of super nerds, McAfee sent me this spreadsheet where somebody went down a rabbit hole about lubricity.
I bet it's Dylan Johnson again. I bet we're back to more Dylan stuff. But go ahead.
It basically had all these techniques and brands and which one offered. I think it was longevity was part of the study, but also I don't know how they measured it, but it was slickness, how lubricated,
basically,
the lubricity.
Basically efficiency.
Yeah, and Squirt was literally the number one right behind waxing chains.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I can apply lubricant. I'm not going to fuck with waxing my chain. At that time, I was like, I don't want to get a crock pot and a container and deal with all the solvents and all that stuff. But I'm in to try this. But I mean, it looks like if I'm gonna go whole hog, I'm probably in for $200. I mean, once you add strip chips and then you add their super secret, super secret, and then you have to have their wax too, right?
Well, the strip chip is wax.
So what's the difference between their secret Silka, secret chain blend, hot melt wax?
The strip chip is a combination of the degreaser and the wax. So so your first time dipping the chain, instead of doing solvent and wax, you just do their strip chip and it does both.
Okay, I'm going to see if there's some. I bet somebody has some stuff on it on YouTube already.
They do.
Oh, they do. Okay. Well, I'll watch that offline.
That would be my recommendation. Yeah.
Before I just pulled the trigger.
Yeah, that was one of the I didn't know it was out there. It didn't pop up. It just popped up in my YouTube feed yesterday. I started watching. It's like, I was already familiar with Silka and the guy at Josh, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And him and Dylan have done a bunch of stuff together over the past year, talking about drivetrain efficiencies and waxing and things like that. That's what I'm saying. I bet what Sean sent you was Dylan's breakdown.
I'd have to do some digging to find it, but it was a ridiculous amount of information. It was overstudied. It was tremendous.
Yeah, and if the industry is gaslighting everybody on the viability of wax chains, that's the most coordinated industry effort I've ever seen in the boxing.
Yeah. I think there's legitimacy to it.
It seems to be fairly universal that waxing chains makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially on the road. That is 100% the way to go. That's what I was just contemplating as you were talking about that, is where is a wax chain the most beneficial? And I'd have to say the road, but then I was also thinking the inverse, like where is it least beneficial? And then I'm thinking like North Shore or like riding muddy terrain, gritty stuff.
I think mud gets into it. My understanding, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but actually the true wax chain, actually the
Hydrophobic.
The dust and grime environment that doesn't work with, that is so rough on everything else. Actually, a wax chain does very well in that compared to
for gravel grinding,
gravel grinding, mountain biking, outside of mud. It's probably a pretty good setup. My understanding is the wet still breaks down wax pretty well, but I haven't dug that deep, so I don't want to make a across the board claim there. I could
fair.
be misremembering because
Well,
I am an idiot.
I'm going to do a deeper dive
Please
on
do.
this and probably
Lucky,
stop with the tail, buddy. We know you're happy. And probably going to pull the plug on this. I just need to know what all I need to grab, because as I'm looking at it, there's strip chips at 24. The Secret Chain Blend Hot Melt Wax is 40.
But you don't need that until your second application.
But I mean, if I'm going to buy my shit, I'm going to buy everything I need at once.
I get that.
So I'm just doing the math real quick, and then
And that secret, that $40 when he was doing, that was a huge bag like this.
yeah,
How many chains worth is that?
I don't know. But then there's Chain Stripper, which is wax prep. That's their stuff, and it's $36.
I don't think you need that. That
with the chip, with strip chip.
With the strip chip and their heater and that's the big deal. So previously to that, they were doing the traditional. We'll strip your chain first, then wax it.
Yeah.
So
you can buy a pre-wax chain from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can go to your bike shop and like Mad Duck. That's one of their regular services and features now that they offer is.
Yeah. I think you're going to start seeing it everywhere.
I think it's going to be fairly standard, but I'll be honest with you, if I'm able to just heat it up and dip it myself and just swap chain as needed, as opposed to I need to run down to the Duck and pick up my chain.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love getting service from the Duck, but chain's one of those things that I've always changed them myself anyway. So,
and the thing that I've read about chain waxing is it's smart or a good call to rotate chains, like keep a chain or two in rotation.
Oh yeah, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, so you don't have to put one bike out of commission for a day or two while you're waxing a chain or whatever.
Supposedly if you're swapping your chain every 300 to 500 miles and re-waxing it, that supposedly just lengthens the life of your chain rings and your cassette or your cog that much longer. Since you never get to where the worn out chain is wearing the teeth.
Yeah. That makes sense. Man, you could go down. Just on Silka's waxing and lubricant aspect, it's just a rabbit hole altogether. They make e-bike lube.
They get very technical and they get very specific.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just hype and marketing. I think they just get that anal about it. It's like, this works 18% better in this application, and we can do a different formula for that or whatever.
Definitely nerd it out.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Nah.
Caleb's being awful quiet there.
Yes, I'm listening because these are topics that I'm not too familiar with, and I have a very elementary, probably Neanderthal practice when it comes to
chains.
Waxing. Yeah, I don't keep spares.
Yeah.
I only will take it off and strip it down if I've done something where I've been in mud all day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I clean it with a rag with a little Dawn, not to flush it all the way out. Just run it through, and then add squirt.
Why would you do Dawn? Who told you to do that?
Light, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't soak it in, just to get the dirt off the top.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like a pin drop, just enough to get a little bit of a.
And where
So-
are you putting that?
I'm
You
just
putting
hold-
it directly on the chain?
No, I'm putting it on a rag
Oh, okay.
with some water and just getting enough just to.
He's using it as a chain washer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because I don't want to flush it through the entire thing, and then I rinse it off really good with water, let it dry, use a paper towel to dry it.
So here,
And I'm probably there's probably people going to go, God damn, what a
No,
idiot!
no.
But that's what I've been like. The guy looking across from the table goes, "Why are you doing this?"
We're gonna talk about this more.
I'm not having any issues. And
Yeah.
so
it seems to work.
Here's where, again, it works.
Yeah,
If
And
it works, keep doing it.
If
yeah.
it works, keep doing it. There's nothing wrong. And the reality is, the wax chain benefit is mostly, supposedly, lengthening the life of your drivetrain, like I was talking about. But it's also wattage efficiency. And obviously, if you're someone like me that's carrying an extra 50 or 60 pounds, the wattage efficiency is not that big of a benefit. But when you start getting at the performance levels, the efficiency of the drivetrain, saving 5 watts or whatever, that can make a big deal to some people. But is it a necessity to ride your bike that you wax your chain? Most definitely not.
I mean, I maintain it. I don't
Yeah.
neglect it.
No, I understand that.
When the whole
But
chain.
you tighten
when
your
the-
chain ring.
Oh God, I knew you were going to bring that up. I don't have that happen. All right, let's table that. You can embarrass me more later. Okay, mark that off. We'll come back to you being able to make fun of me. I'm totally fine.
I'm just glad I was able to help.
seem
You know what?
so fine.
You know what the definition of a real friendship is, right?
What?
Your real friends will make fun of you to your face and root for you behind your back, and that is you.
Yeah.
Especially the preceding portion of that.
But I make fun of you to your face
That's
and root you on to your face, too.
No. I'm
Yeah.
saying,
I can vouch that he roots you on behind your back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just the idea of all that. I think that it's it comes in a cute little potpourri pot and all that shit. It just seems like a lot of fucking work.
So the real...
And I don't. That's the turn off on me. So I do it my way, and I am annihilating chains, but I've had the same chain on that Warbird for over a year, and it's fine.
that's a perfect point. So for people that are already waxing chains, they're going to look at this. Oh, this is a hell of a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for people that were on the fence about, I would like to wax a chain, but that's just too much effort.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Okay, this is that much easier, so
Yeah.
it makes sense for me at
Yeah,
this
it's
point.
like one-stop shopping kind of.
Yeah.
But
If you buy it and test it, and you come back, do it, and then
I
we'll
will.
come back in a couple of weeks and we'll talk about it.
I'm going to start with a
on the
new chain,
podcast.
though.
Okay.
Actually, my chain on my Fargo is pretty new.
I think it's better to not start with a brand new chain. I
Okay.
think that's what I've been told is that you wouldn't want to take one right out of the box. You want to ride it a little bit. Someone told me you want to stretch it a little bit.
That is not the case.
Is that not true?
in this application specifically?
Okay.
But I can't speak to waxing the chain in general.
Let's get back to your Dawn thing. I want to break something down. Like I seriously want to possibly educate just a touch.
Okay, let me backtrack and let me tell you something.
No,
real
hold
quick.
up.
When I was using
children,
using dinosaur
children, stop.
blood,
Yeah.
when I was using dinosaur blood to dinosaur juice to lube my chain, when I wanted to clean it, I'd do a big Dawn degreaser
Yeah.
on the bike, scrub it, rinse it, dry it, and then apply the lube.
Yeah.
But I don't do that with the wax. I'm just trying to get the top layer of dirt off. When I say I'm using a little bit of Dawn, I mean
Fair.
like
I'm not crucifying you. I'm telling you when we talk about chains, there's only 3 components to chains. There's plates, rollers, and pins, right?
yeah.
The whole alleged benefit of wax is you're impregnating wax that stays behind inside of those rollers and the pins. And the worry in my head, and I could be wrong, is that you're flushing all of this stuff out of the rollers and you're leaving behind residual chemicals that are going to deter that wax from
Sure.
setting up as solid as it wants to
Sure.
be.
So I'm not coating this chain with Dawn soap.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
envisioning you just bukkake in the whole chain.
And the only time I do that is when
little hand grenade there.
Boom. The only time I'm using Dawn is when I don't do that every time I clean my chain.
Are you using Platinum, Dawn Platinum?
It's the one with the duck on it.
Oh, okay.
The quack quack.
Yeah, if they can clean a duck with it.
It's good enough for me.
So
I'm just getting the top layer of mud and dirt when it's really caked on.
Yeah.
Like after a ramble where we go through shit we're not supposed to go through or an event or whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't have a lot of mud, I just dry brush it and then wet rag and run it through it.
Yeah.
Let it dry or dry it off and then apply. Not a lot of Dawn. I'm not saturating it and getting it down in there. I'm just taking the top layer of dirt off.
You don't have to defend yourself. I'm not persecuting you.
Why so serious?
Yeah, I know, because
calm down.
You Oh. Oh.
Oh, can we talk about your chain ring now?
Do it. Please do it.
I'm wondering.
This dickhead last night.
Oh my God.
As we do at North Shore, you start to get ready. Somebody else shows up, so you're like, okay, we'll wait on them. Somebody else shows up, and we end up standing around for 20, 25 minutes before we actually take off to ride. Caleb's been ready since I got there almost.
I think I was the first one there in the parking lot getting ready, maybe.
After the first wave went out. Because you didn't see Garrett and Adam
Champing
go
at the
out.
bit. Champing at the bit.
Dude, I was ready to fucking rock.
And so he's, all right, are we going? Are we going? And we're still waiting on Redmond and a couple other people. Yeah. And Caleb goes, what's this noise? Do you hear this? And when he steps on his crank, and I go, take your foot out of the pedal. And I reach down and I push on it, and you can see his chain ring go funk, funk. I'm like, dude, get off your bike. We go over to Josh Roberts, had every tool we needed, and he had a Kuat bike rack with the bike stand.
With the stand.
And so I was like, can we use the stand? Put it on the stand. Little difficult to work, but
I understand.
I get it has its merits. And pulled his crank off, tightened down because it's a White Industries, so it has just a chase nut that clamps down and makes the chain ring made up to that spline because it's just a spline drive, spiderless, and tighten it down. I got like 2 full turns on that bitch. There's no telling how long you've been riding it with it loose.
In my defense, when I rebuilt the bottom bracket on it, I did not take that nut off.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I took the chain. Matter of fact, I didn't even know that nut was on there until I saw you working it.
Okay.
So I don't even know how long that's been loose.
Mm-hmm.
The worst part about it was I was the guy that was being a dick going, are we going? Are we going?
And now you're holding everyone up.
I turn around and look, and there were like 9 people staring at Brad working on my bike.
I made pretty quick work of it, though.
Oh, he did it very like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we were ready to roll.
Yeah.
But it was just like, God damn, I'm that guy now. But it performed flawlessly, so thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. It was just funny, just in the context of, like he was saying, he was the one chomping at the bit, and then all of a sudden everybody's going, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Oh, I don't think they were giving me a hard time about it. They were fucking wearing me out on it.
I'm happy we did it because that could have been a catastrophic failure.
Yeah, sure.
Could have messed up your bike, your chain ring,
your leg,
your chain, your leg. Yeah. Speaking of leg tears, calves, Redmond, I'm proud of that kid. That guy, he has turned a corner. He was riding strong.
He stayed on my wheel the entire time.
He said he was trying to just burn you up.
Yeah.
He said he went to Costa Rica this past weekend. He rode 80 miles over the course of 4 days and said he had about 10,000 feet of elevation gain. And he said it was hot as shit, too. Yeah. So it was like 90 degrees a couple of days.
It's summer down there.
Yeah, he said that he had, I guess he had some derailleur issues, so he was limited to the amount of gearing he was able to use. And he said so he came to the realization he just had to stand up instead of spinning. And he goes, it was a revelation.
Yeah,
and he goes,
hear him saying that.
And he goes, so I was so much faster. And I was like, welcome to the single speed mentality.
There you go.
And so that's last night. He said I didn't even shift.
Yeah.
And I go,
well, he says he has a single speed in his quiver. He says he's got one.
He's got I don't know if he still has the stash.
He says I have a single speed in my garage. That's what he said. Unless I misunderstood what he said.
I don't know.
Pretty clear. I was looking right at that beautiful face of his.
Yeah, I don't know what his single speed is. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I know
Reach out and touch us and fill us in,
Yeah.
Ryan.
I know he had
shiftlesslive@gmail.com.
Yeah, I know he had a stash, which is what Ram was on last night.
Yeah.
Ram or Ram or Ram? I
It's
don't know
Ram.
how to say his name.
Ram.
Ram.
That guy.
Yeah.
What he did was pretty impressive.
What?
Well, on a big tire bike,
3.0.
on a 17.
3217.
Yeah.
And he was putting the wood to me.
Yeah.
And who is this?
Ram Kamari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Brown Magic.
It's a good dude.
He was running a 3217, and I had let him pass me at one point. When I let Redmond and him go by about halfway out on the east side, I was like, dude, I'm not holding this. I'm out of shape. I was like, I'm not holding the gas this hard the whole time. I'm going to be worn out. And so I let Redmond and Ram come by, and I caught back on to Ram, and I was like, well, I'm just going to hold his wheel, and he would just and be gone, and I would have to reel him back in, and then I would ride with him, and then he would and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But that guy, I've never ridden with him. I was riding behind him last night. He throws his bike around, and I mean, he was being playful. It was fun showing, and that's his home trail, so he knows the lines as good, if not better, than I do. So it's always fun for me to ride behind someone that knows lines, knows every little niche, and will just work in, and it was fun. He's strong, and I think that's. He said he's only been on a single speed like 4 months, but his is a stash conversion.
Yeah.
So I think with the bigger guys, we were talking about this last night, the stash, a lot of people are converting them to single speeds, and then because of the asymmetrical chainstays, people were having a little bit too much flex in the rear end, and they were ended up throwing chains. But Rom's only like 145 pounds, so he said, I don't have that issue.
It's
So
also, I think the issue's more with the carbon.
I think so too. If I recall correctly, I think the carbon ones were the biggest culprit.
Is that because of flex?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his is aluminum, or as he says, alloy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, strong. So, what else?
I had a
Ankle grinder.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're making. So this
Some
is funny.
angles, duh.
Was coming up that last creek crossing before you get to that wide open shoreline,
Mm-hmm.
and you go down or off that wooden bench, you come up, and then there's that other lip, and then you come up, pop up, and down, and there was a male and a female at the top of that little bump in between the trees.
Yeah.
And the female was like right in the middle of the trail, like standing with her back. They were like looking over. And so I called out twice. Coming up. So I had to adjust my line, but she's literally in the trail. And when I came by, I was like, I didn't yell. I was like, hey, you're kind of standing in the middle of the trail. And as I'm riding off, she goes, you got this.
That was Jennifer Jeter. And
No. That was not Jennifer Jeter.
well,
I know Jennifer Jeter. This was not her.
Maybe it wasn't Jennifer Jeter. But anyways, I saw her, and she said, tell Caleb to quit being a whiny bitch.
Maybe that was her. I didn't recognize her.
Legitimately, and I forgot to tell you last night.
I came. That makes it even better because I love her so much.
Yeah.
I hope that was her talking shit to me because that makes my day even.
I was redlined, so I could have mislabeled, but
whoever was standing on the right was in the shade, and I honestly didn't really.
That's what it
I
was.
just saw a form, and then I just saw the long blonde hair of the other person. I didn't really even see.
Okay, so it was Jennifer that was off in
in the shadows.
the
Yeah.
shadows.
So she was the one. That is.
I literally came
amazing.
by. Red was
God,
right
she's
behind me, and she just goes, "Tell Caleb to quit being such a whiny bitch." And I was just like, I kept thinking, I can't
love
forget
her.
to tell him that. I can't forget to tell him that.
I wish
And
I'd
then-
known now because then I would have
Yeah.
turned
No,
around and said hi.
this is the perfect time to tell them. This worked out better.
Okay, so that makes sense because to have someone say you got this,
Yeah.
I thought who do we know that knows our little inside jokes?
yeah.
And so that's what made me like I just at that point I literally was laughing as I was riding along.
you realize it's not an inside joke
Yeah.
anymore now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
I totally forgot to tell you that.
I think that's a good story to end with, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I
Yeah.
don't think we can top that.
Yeah.
Go ride your bike.
Hey guys, happy 50th.
Yeah, 50th.